Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kerry Brown, and this is Hang Out with Coach Kerry. Um, One of the things I want to ask you is, are you an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur, maybe working from your home, maybe even working off a desk in your guest bedroom, and you are trying to juggle all the things that it takes to get your business going? You may actually have a full-time job, and that you're doing this part-time. Well, if that's you, then today you want to stay tuned because this is my VIP panel Q&A day. And I have two of my VIPs who are on, and they have some questions for me that I think are going to be very appropriate for you. So remember, Hang Out with Coach Kerry is at 9 a.m. every Monday morning. You can watch me live on Google Hangouts. You can also go to YouTube and watch me on YouTube and even subscribe there if you want. And you can always go to past episodes on hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. All past episodes are there. So anyway, I'll be reminding you of that a little later on, but most importantly right now what I want to do is introduce to you my VIP panelists, and I'm going to start with Kathy. Kathy, tell everyone who you are and what you do. Kathy, I think you're muted, honey. Thank you.
Wait, sorry about that. I
That's
actually
okay.
muted myself instead of unmuting. Good
Yeah.
morning. I'm Kathy Scott, and I have a business called Niche Travel. And what I do is specialize in women's tours all over the world. They're spectacular tours and a lot of fun. We actually have a group away right now in India, and they're having just an amazing time. So it's a lot of fun. I also specialize in inbound tourism of Victoria. So I do a couple of different things. But thanks for having me on, Carrie.
You're welcome. And my panelists all hail from Victoria, British Columbia, which is where I'm from, which is the very, very west coast of Canada. Although we have people who watch from all over the world, and I often have panelists from other places as well. So, Kathy, thank you very much. And if we have a listener today who's interested in and has a love of travel, and it's a woman and she doesn't want to travel on her own, then please come and join one of Kathy's tours. So, Grace, tell everyone about you. So, Grace Gary, please introduce yourself.
Okay, hi Kerry, thank you for having me on. So my business is Graceful Solutions, and I'm a counsellor, and I help people who have hit a roadblock in life and want to get past that so that they can reach their goals. I help them get unstuck so that they can reach the goals that are important to them. And I have a special interest in emotional eating and difficult relationships.
Great, excellent. And how can they find out more about you?
So if gracefulsolutions.ca is my website, and I have monthly tips on emotional well-being.
Great, excellent, thank you. So if you are a listener, a viewer of this of my episodes, you know that my mission is to inform, inspire, give you tips and strategies and resources. And so today we're going to be able to do that. Also, you may not know that I have a Google Plus community called Kerry Brown Small Business Community. So if you are on Google Plus, go to communities and ask to join. It's an opportunity for you to be able to network there, to be able to get tips and resources, and I will have special things just for my Google Plus community as well. So today I want to answer some of the burning questions that my panelists have, or maybe even just their burning question for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Kathy first. And Kathy, while Grace is talking, if you wouldn't mind just putting yourself on mute, that would be great, just to make sure we've got our good quality for audio here. That would be great. So Kathy, ask me your question, my dear.
Okay, Carrie. As a small business owner, there are multiple opportunities almost daily to do marketing. People asking to do joint promotions, different kinds of marketing, newspaper, television, radio. But reality is, a small business owner, you have a limited budget for these sorts of things. And so how does a person just make the decision on which way to go?
Great question, and I get this all the time. And actually, what I often get is I get small business owners. What happens is they've started their business, they're really excited, and they will go out and spend a lot of money on advertising. And I'm going to draw a distinction here between marketing and advertising. Marketing is the umbrella of anything that you do to promote your business, to get your business out there, that will get your phone to ring, your email to chime, whatever that it happens to be. Advertising is one medium. Advertising would be print advertising in magazines, in any kind of print material. It would also be on the radio. So you might take a spot on the radio. It could be on television. Usually that's reserved for people who have very large budgets to be able to do that. So that's advertising. But of course, we also know that there's one very effective one called social media. And then we also have others, joint venture relationships, networking events that you do. So I just want to draw that distinction, Kathy, for you, is to make sure that when we're talking about marketing, and then how do you choose which avenues are underneath that. So the dilemma, and I know that you're not dissimilar, or you meaning Kathy, but also the audience here, is you're not dissimilar to most other people in the world, is that who are in small business, is, you know, we don't start with a very large budget for marketing purposes. So how do you get the word out? And what it really comes down to, first of all, is getting clear on who your audience is. Because that's the piece that will drive any activity you're going to do to draw them to you. So you have to first of all know who they are. And so once you've identified who they are, and Kathy, I know for you, you are really, you're very clear who your audience is. They're women, you've got a certain demographic, a certain psychographic. Obviously they have a love of travel. Geographically, they're not restricted to Victoria, because you can do business with people, or people can join your tours from all over the world. So you really want to get clear on that. And then your next question is, where do those people hang out? Or what are their interests? Where do they go? Because what you're looking for is a match between what you offer and that customer, and so you've determined there's a match, that you offer what they're looking for. Then now you want to figure out is, where do they go? What do they read? Where do they show up? And if you have a limited budget, then in the early days, sometimes your resources are going to be less financial, and you're going to put more time in. The good news that happens is, as businesses grow and grow, and you start developing better cash flow, and you have larger budgets, then you can personally spend less time, because you're going to have greater demands, and at that point you will have a greater budget to be able to spend on marketing strategies. So in the startup phase, or in the early stages of a business, or even for people who have their vision is to never grow it to the point where they're going to have staff or other people, then you're always going to be looking for those ways that you can market your business that are going to be very cost effective. So you're going to look at, where does your customer hang out? They will hang out at probably travel shows, or opportunity, if there happen to be in your area, places where there are booths where people are showing different kinds of travel things. What other things? Well, they might belong to a local, hiking group, or you might look at clothing stores around in the area, or people that cater to them. So you're going to look at that. So why would you look at other businesses, for an example, that might cater to the same group? Strategic alliances. And you can do strategic alliances or joint ventures. And the distinction is, a strategic alliance is somebody who will promote what you do with some kind of compensation in return. So they might take whatever you've got and promote it. So for an example, a strategic alliance might be someone who's producing a newsletter. You might compensate them for every person that comes from their newsletter for a person that purchases one of your tours, or something like that. So you might have something like that you do. A joint venture is someone who actually has a very similar audience to yours, and you're going to actually do something together. Now again, your question was about, with a limited budget, how do you do this? Well, joint ventures are a great way. They're going to take your resources in terms of time, and not so much your resources in terms of your actual cash budget. So some of the things you're going to want to look at and be really clear about is, again, is their audience my audience? Is there an absolute match for that, so that you could do that particular project together in terms of marketing what you do? And that can be a very, very effective way. Now, I also mentioned networking. And networking, as you know, I've done a couple of episodes on networking, and for those of you who are watching this episode or listening to it, as a podcast, please go to my website and look for episodes on networking strategies and tips. Because again, you can be networking not just for customers, but also for those people who could be good strategic alliances or joint venture partners for you as well. And sometimes that's almost easier to be looking for when you're out networking than it actually is to talk about something that you're actually doing. So look for those and be strategic when you go to networking events, so that you are looking for can be a really good connection for you or an opportunity for you to be able to do some joint marketing that's there. What I would say is that in the early days, you want to be looking for marketing opportunities that you can see that there's going to be some, what I'm going to call, return on investment. Now that's a little tough to do because at this point it's not proven. So what you want to do is you want to really start tracking your results, seeing how many phone calls am I getting from here, how many phone calls am I getting from there, where's my best source coming from, and then you really want to capitalize on that. You want to do more of that for those strategies that are working. So I would say for most businesses like you, Kathy, and I would say that you're pretty typical of our audience here on the Hang Out with Coach Kerry show, is that advertising, putting an ad in a paper, in a magazine, on a radio, on a television, is not going to get you what you need, which is getting the phone to ring and revenue to be generated. Those avenues are really set aside for that business that's already at the point where they have the cash flow to be able to do some brand awareness, to be able to bring their brand awareness to the marketplace, and that will continue to cement their existing customers and, of course, get them new customers. And it can be very, very expensive. And you also have to commit to very long campaigns for those. So I would say that would exclude most people. So here's the challenge, is that you start in business and you're out meeting people, and everyone who has a medium, a marketing medium for you, they're going to come after you. And they're going to ask you to do this and this and this and this and this. So a couple of things I really recommend is, if you have done this work ahead of time, if you've actually stopped and really thought, okay, where does my customer hang out? Is this a good place for me to actually be able to spend my time versus my money, or maybe even some money? If you're really clear on that, then you can say with absolute conviction, I think your product or your program or your magazine or whatever it happens to be sounds like a great idea. It just isn't a fit for where my marketing strategy is. So again, it's really part of your marketing plan. And if you've been watching my show, you know we spent a number of episodes on some components of your marketing plan. But once you're really clear on that, then you won't be pulled in all different directions. I'm no different than you. I'm a small business. I've got people that are calling me all the time, and I'm really, really clear that I can say no when there isn't a match. Now, I'm going to add a little proviso to that, and then sometimes there are charity events that are close to your heart, things that really are important for you, and you have a community engagement piece to that. So again, that's part of your marketing plan. If you're going to donate time, money, whatever it happens to be, to those events, then be really clear what percentage of your business that is. And when you reach a point in your business, you can say that you're capped. It'll be no different than any other business saying, we've spent our budget for this year and it's over. So Kathy, I just want to check in with you to see, was that clear? And did that raise another question for you that maybe I can answer today?
I don't think it raised any other questions, but it gave me some really good ideas. So thank you so much for that. That was great.
Good, excellent, good. So again, I said a couple of times during my answer for Kathy, and of course, if you were coaching with me one-on-one, we would have had a much longer discussion about that. I would have had a lot more questions for Kathy and found it a lot more. But again, please go to my hangoutwithcoachkerry.com website, and you'll see many other episodes there on all different aspects of marketing. Okay, so over to you, Grace. You've got a question for me, I know. So
yes.
Fire away.
Okay, so my question is about prioritizing. Of course, as a small business owner, there are many things to do. And the question I have is, when you know that there are things that are incomplete, things that perhaps you put off because you don't like doing them, but they need to be done, it could be clutter, taxes, whatever, well, and when do you prioritize doing that rather than income generating activities such as marketing? And maybe you're going to say you have to do both, but that's sometimes my dilemma. My fantasy is if I got all those to-do lists done first, then I'd be free to do the other. Now that might not be the case, but that's my question.
Great question. Boy, two what I would call ones that I hear quite regularly, so thank you for raising that. So here's one thing about productivity, and that is the to-do list will, even if you stop today, there will be more things still coming. In other words, that fantasy of getting everything complete and then you'll be able to move forward is a fantasy, because there will always be new things coming at you. Always.
Yes.
So I think what you've got to do is let go of that fantasy notion that when that happens, then I'll be able to do this. Now, you were right when you said that I'm probably going to recommend that you do both things. However, not in the same percentage. Mm-hmm. So what I really recommend that you do is you make that list of those things that currently are incomplete for you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to prioritize those of which are the most important. And sometimes it may not even be completing that incompletion. It may be just moving that incompletion forward. So, what this week am I going to be working on my incompletions to at least move those forward? Do one piece of your taxes, to clean up one corner of your desk, whatever that is. So to move that forward, because what happens is that those incompletions do weigh you down. Absolutely. Yeah. They drain your energy. However, I will tell you that even taking an action on an incompletion releases a significant amount of that energy drain, because now you're seeing that you've at least moved forward and taken that step. As a small business owner, your number one priority is income generating activities.
Yes.
Income generating activities. Because if not, you won't have to worry about all those incompletions, because you won't be in business. I mean, I'm not saying about you specifically, but you know what I mean. Is that creating a predictable income so that you know these activities will generate this amount of money. That's what you want to get a handle on as soon as you can when you're in business. Mm-hmm. So on a weekly basis, you may be spending 80% on income generating activities and 20% on incompletions or administrative work. I highly, highly recommend that you take Friday afternoons, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time, but I would say about half an hour, because say yes if your Friday afternoons are usually the day when if you want to reach somebody you can't reach them, is that often it's a time when there isn't as much business going in. Would both of you agree with me on that one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so it's a really good time to review. I even have in my calendar to remind me, so it's there, review. So what I do is I go back and I look at the incompletions. I look at the things that need picking up, what might be the next step I do with those. So you develop that habit of continually checking in what those are, and then putting a plan to take a step forward. Again, just one thing, and that energy drain that happens when you've got a whole bunch of incompletions starts to go. Now, I am going to challenge you, though, is if you find that quite regularly you have a lot of incompletions and there's things that consistently you avoid, there's something in that that you're resisting. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to share with you an example. Years ago, my natural style is one that isn't a bookkeeping type style. So for me, the thought of sitting down and collecting numbers and organizing things, I made that into a very big elephant. In fact, I got to the point where I challenged myself and I said, how long do I really think this task is going to take me? And I'd say, about 30 minutes. And so what I did is I actually put on some great music. I actually looked at the timer, and you know what? It was 7 minutes. 7 minutes. And then I also said, okay, because I don't do this that often, I'm forgetting how I need to do it. So do I need to write down at least what the steps are? Because if we're not, if we're resisting or not taking action on something, it's usually because we don't know what that first step is. We don't know what the first step is. So if it's something that you haven't done for a long time, then often we can forget. So that's why writing down and documenting a procedure, so then it's easy. You can just trust that you know what you need to do. You can pull out that sheet, and every time it's going to take you 7 minutes to do it, versus making it into a big elephant. So, and the other piece that sometimes I find is really useful is look at a time of day. So it could be your Friday afternoon, it could be even a Saturday morning, especially for those of you who are working from home. It's maybe a time when you could put on some great music, make that list, and just commit to tackling a bunch of them right then and there. Again, not necessarily completing them, but saying I'm going to devote 15 minutes to this, and 15 minutes to this, and 15 minutes to this, and clearing things up, so then you are free to start your week as a priority.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just kind of recap. Obviously, income-generating activities are your most important activity. I hear far too often people are so busy. They say, I'm so busy, but I'm not making any money. Well, because they're likely putting their energy and effort on things that are not income-generating activities. And that's the absolute key. So income-generating activities first. 80% of your activities should be on that, and 20% of your time cleaning up those admin pieces, cleaning up those incompletions that you've got, those tolerations as we call them in the coaching business, and then putting a plan in place of which one of those I'm going to tackle. And if this is a persistent chronic problem, it's useful to take a look at underneath. What might be that resistance there? Do I have a perspective it's going to take a lot longer to do something than it actually does? Is this maybe something that it's time now I delegated that task? Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of people out there that say, only do those things in your business that you're good at. And I'm going to say, foul on that one. Because you may not like looking at the numbers, and you need to be looking at the numbers in your business. You need to know what your financial situation is at all times. So there are a number of times, or a number of aspects of your business that you do need to be paying attention to. Does that mean you have to be your own bookkeeper? It does not. It means you have to understand your books, and you have to be reviewing them on a regular basis. So I know I took a little bit of license there, Grace, to expand that a little bit more over some things. Did that raise any other questions for you?
Very helpful, Kerry. I mean, what I realize with these Hangouts, what's so valuable is you can replay them, because it's not the first time I've heard you say some of this stuff, but it's still very relevant. And what I realize is just how easy it is to forget, to prioritize, to write it down, to take 15 minutes for this, 15 minutes for that. Those are very valuable. They're not rocket science, but they're very valuable reminders. And so that's what's so great about the Hangouts, is you can replay it.
Yes, absolutely, over and over and over again. Find your favorites, watch them over again.
Yeah.
Really important piece. So great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So again, I want to thank both of my panelists today. I think you asked really great questions that are on the mind of many of my audience here, and gave them or challenged me to give you some coaching directly on that. So again, remember, you can watch with me. Come hang out with me 9 a.m. Monday mornings Pacific time. And you can watch on YouTube, or you can watch on Google Hangouts. Please join my Google Plus community. Interact there, network, get my tips and strategies that are there. Please do go to hangoutwithcoachkerry.com and download my free book that's there. I have an ebook called How to Get Out of Overwhelm and Create and Accelerate Your Business for Massive Results. Download that book. Give me some feedback. Tell me if it's been valuable for you. And please do take the time every single week to improve your knowledge, get some tips, get some strategies, get better at what you do every single week. And I hope that Hangout with Coach Kerry will be the place for you to do that. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. I look forward to talking to you next Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kerry.
Bye-bye.